morning, good morning. Blessings to everyone. Happy Sunday, happy blessed Sunday to you all. We're going to keep our minds and our bodies and our energies in that meditative space. If you're feeling welcoming and feeling good in your body and your space, just turn all your cameras and wave to someone real quick. Give a smile. Let someone see your beautiful eyes. I'm just going to vibrate here on these piano keys. So wherever you may be at, here in the Bay Area, all around the world, I know we got people from all around the world here. We have a beautiful service in store for you. We got Jen Johns in the building. morning. Give thanks. And I would like to welcome and pass it over to Miss Maureen. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Kevin, for sharing that wonderful opening song. So, good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, my family. I am very happy to be here today and to be here to welcome you to this service. Welcome to Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. Welcome to those of you joining Zoom today, and also a special welcome to those of you who are joining for the very first time. If you'd like to connect with us and find out what's going on at our center, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. In order to maintain a sacred atmosphere this morning, I invite you to please take a moment to make sure that you are muted and your video is turned off. This will help with transmission of our beautiful speakers today and of our musicians. Let's now take a moment to bless our children wherever they are. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. Your Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. I have some special announcements this morning, so please take note. This coming Wednesday, we are going to be visited by the wonderfully wise Reverend Eloise Oliver. She will be continuing the inquiry into holy uprising. Meditation at 6:30 and the services at 7. If you haven't been to see Reverend E yet, you are definitely missing out. So you definitely want to get some fill of Reverend E. Please take advantage of the listening circles being offered at our center. These listening circles are for you to come and to express yourself. This is an opportunity for you to be heard and to express your feelings about Reverend Jeff's transition and all of the changes and challenges that our community is facing at this moment. These groups are here to hold the space for you to be able to express yourself and share your feelings about this process. These groups are being facilitated by wonderful Reverend Sunny, who is dedicated to creating a safe and welcoming environment for this expression and the process. There is also a community meeting being held on May 23rd with the Board of Trustees and Reverend Sunny. Now is the time. I can't say it enough. Now is the time for villagers to come and to be heard and to talk about what they see the future of the center being. Me being a member of the Board of Trustees, I want to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you at the meeting on May 23rd. This is your village, and we want to hear from you. Also, you can see the full listing, as you can see on the slide right there. You can see the full listing of all the meetings and circles in the Village News and also on the website. Please let us know if these dates won't work for you. We want to be able to provide you with opportunities to express yourself about all the things that are going on here at our wonderful center. Also, there is a 6-week book study being hosted, facilitated by Carmen West Jefferson, Practitioner Emeritus. It's the book called Cast: The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. In this brilliant book, the Pulitzer Prize winning author gives us a masterful portrait of an unseen phenomena in America as she explores through an immersive, deeply researched narrative and stories about real people. How America today and throughout its history has been shaped by a hidden caste system, a rigid hierarchy of human rankings. A study guide is included in the 6-week summer series discussion. Registration is open now. The study begins June 7th at 6:30 p.m. And always, to find out more information about our center, the hub of all information is going to be at oaklandcsl.org, also on the Village News. Lastly, let's take a deep breath and read aloud with me our vision and mission statement. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. And so it is. Now I would like to introduce Carmen West Jefferson, practitioner emeritus, to do the readings and give us a prayer. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Good morning. We have 2 readings this morning. What a beautiful service it's been so far, hasn't it? Just awesome. Kev Choice, and thank you, Maureen, for the announcements. Our first reading is by Ernest Holmes. It reads, "Our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. It is ready to feel everything because it is infinite. It is entirely a question of our own receptivity." Our second reading is by Rumi. "You are the wine, and I am the water. In the presence of beauty that blesses the soul, how could I die? How could I not go insane and hold firmly to your chair like a hare? When I drink your wine, how can I be broken? You are the wine, and I am the water. You are the honey, and I am the milk." Beautiful. So just allow ourselves to get comfortable. Allowing your eyes to close or not. And knowing that God is all there is, omnipotent, that self-existent cause, the back of all things. God is that one mind, that one heart, and that one love. And I, Carmen West Jefferson, declare for this service perfection, completion, and simply love. I am knowing that this service is absolutely wonderful. I am knowing that what is to be heard here is heard, and what is to be said here is said. I am knowing that the words of our beloved Reverend Jacquelyn Edwards inspires, uplifts, upholds us. I am knowing the sweet music and soulful voice of Kev Choice and Jennifer Johns simply moves us. And I bless our virtual team, our virtual technicians. I bless our congregants. I bless our practitioners. I bless all who are involved in this service, knowing that this service is an expression of the love in which we are. And I let it go and I let it be. And let us just anchor this truth in saying, and so it is. And now I turn this service back to our spiritual inspiration, Kev Choice.
wretched of the earth, the meek, the cast aside, to know that they are worth more. We are loved divine. My God, it's love. The bravest heart, broken dreams become mine. Broken things take to the sky, blackbird, and reclaim your light, blackbird. Be set free. Take her to the sky, blackbird, and reclaim your light, blackbird. I'll come, yeah. What is love?
good to see you guys. Thanks, Kev.
Thank you, thank you. And now we'd like to welcome Dr. Reverend Jacquelyn. Thank you, thank you. Blessings, blessings to you.
God is my fire. God is my fiery love. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please join me as I take a moment to just go within and remember that fire, that love that is fire that is love, that is God, that is, all there ever has been, and all there ever will be, is who and how and what I am, who and what and how. Everyone listening in the moment or listening in the future by video, are simply vibing in. We are one. And it is from that place of oneness that this interaction, this conversation, this deeper dive into spirit takes place. And so what I know is that I speak from my heart, and my comments, my message is heard in and by the heart. It is with a sense of gratitude that I release this prayer and open myself to the divine flow that is the divinity that is all there is. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Ashe, Amen, Amin, Aho, and so it is. Well, hello, Village, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I am delighted and I am grateful to be here. I am grateful to Reverend Jeffrey Anderson for inviting me to come and be here on this day. We all, of course, have our moments and our stories, and I have two pieces that weave the Jeff in my life. The first is the piece of Jeff as classmate, as colleague, and as friend. That's how he always greeted me, as, hey, hello, friend, how are you? Hello, friend, as my friend. And then the second piece is my piece of the story that I'm sure we all have our last time stories. And I'm gonna bump off of that last time to the all the time. So my last time story was, in fact, when he and I had a conversation, and he said to me, I wanted to make sure that I got you on the calendar. And in that moment, it did not occur to me that his, I want to make sure I get you on the calendar, was, I need to do this now. I didn't get that part in the moment, but I most certainly get it now. And so gratitude to Reverend Jeff for giving me the honor and the privilege of standing in your pulpit. And at the same time, I want to invite myself and all of us to remember and to recognize the magnificence of the time that we are living in. Reverend Sunny captured it at the introductory video that she did last week, when she said, we have to also remember that we are in a period of great evolution and shift and change. And so what I want to remind you and us of is that that great period of evolution is a period that Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, the village of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, is a center of and is also a part of, that there is this greater movement happening both within Centers for Spiritual Living as well as on the whole planet. And our juiciness in it is that we in Centers for Spiritual Living, we who practice this thing called religious science or science of mind, that we get to be on the leading and the cutting edge of this evolution that is taking place on the planet. We are in fact challenged to take ourselves to the next level of our belief. We have the opportunity to practice what we preach and to preach what we practice. Now, when I use that term, practicing what we preach, I really know that you know, that I know, that we know that we are not just talking about the preachers. We're not just talking about the ministers and the practitioners. We're talking about the entire village, because we are, all of us, ministers and disciples. I'm going to use that word disciples, and I'm using it because we're going to circle back around to that in terms of our opportunity to celebrate today in some ways that we are not accustomed to within religious science, but that has a message for us. So in this opportunity to practice what we preach, our first place that we start is God is all there is. There is nothing else, regardless of appearances. Ernest Holmes tells us, and he said this in 1926, by the way, so it is now almost 100 years after he said this. I am going to invite us to consider that these words have now sunk in, that we've internalized them. He said, the world is waking up to the fact that things are not at all what they appear to be, that matter and form are but one substance, appearing and disappearing, and that form is simply used to express something which is formless but self-conscious life. Now, in plain words, making it plain, as some people like to say, I believe what Dr. Holmes was talking about right there is that we get to be in this playground that we call life for however long we need to be in this playground so that we can work out and work through our stuff. And our biggest stuff that we get to work through is how we show up as love, how we show up, as Jennifer said in the song, as the fire and the energy of love. How do we spread love across the planet in the form of the work that we are here to do, which of course not only feeds the people and the movements and the places that we are electing to feed, but it also feeds us individually. And it allows us, particularly those of us who call ourselves a village, it allows us to recall another comment from Dr. Holmes, that we are anchored in unity. Unity, which he calls the one, capitalized, spirit, God, back of all things, that operates through the one law, which is the medium of the law. And it is through this one that multiplicity is manifested. That is, all the diversity on the planet of the universe is manifested through this oneness that we have the opportunity to both remind ourselves of and to put ourselves in constant contact with. I invite us to consider that it is only when and as we put ourselves in constant contact with that understanding of our collective connectivity that we are then able to effectively, because we want to be effective in the work that we do, that we are able to effectively go out into the world and consciously evolve to our collective yet to be. So, how do we do that? How do we deepen our relationship with spirit? How do we find the courage to stand in the face of opposition and do the right thing? How do we know what the right thing is? We've been doing that this morning from our meditation, the beautiful meditation that our practitioner Dodi led us through our music, our opening prayer. Thank you very much, Carmen West Jefferson, practitioner emeritus, through our willingness to participate in this conversational exchange that we're having, which is all about how do I bring spirit more effectively and more efficiently into my everyday activity and actions. We are living in a time where we are called upon to say yes by saying yes to our spiritual practices, by saying yes to remembering what it is that we believe. Now, in our statement of what we believe, we start out very early on. It's the second and third stanza of what we believe. We say, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all people, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. Then we go on to say, we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. And that's where I circle back for a moment, back to my gratitude today in the moment to Reverend Jeff, because I believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Does that mean that we do not feel our feelings? Does that mean that we don't miss? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What it means is that there is a both and opportunity, to recognize, to know again, to step into that place where we remember the beloveds, where we experience our physical conversations and interactions with the beloveds. And at the same time, we recognize that there is this ever expanding process that is going on with the individual soul that at the same time does not take that individual soul beyond our reach, beyond our spiritual heart touching. Many of us have a practice. I remember my mom walking around the house talking to my dad, who had transitioned at least 4 or 5 years before. Sometimes my mom would even apparently have some kind of an interaction that would prompt her to say, I was talking to your daddy last night and such and such and such and such. Now, I'm not suggesting that we all have the same kind of experiences. I'm simply suggesting that we remember and we acknowledge that we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Today is the day that we in religious science are celebrating this idea of being holy, that is completely holy, holy. We have a holy, holy uprising, and we are invited to consider that this too is God. The uprising is God. The activity is God. The consciousness that we put before us, that we send out before us, is God. Now, in the traditional church today, many of our colleagues, our friends, family members are celebrating today as the day of the Pentecost. Now, the Pentecost is, in its original context, the Jewish holiday that celebrates the revealing of the first 5 books of what we call the Bible, but what in Jewish tradition is called the Torah, of the revealing of the Torah to Moses. Now, interestingly enough, in the way and ways that all or many of our religious or spiritual communities tend to parallel each other and have things that are going on round about the same time, this Pentecost celebration comes 50 days after the celebration of Passover. Passover is the celebration of coming up out of Egypt, of being freed from the captivity of enslavement in Egypt. It is also, interestingly enough, usually like 95% of the time, it goes right along with this celebration of Easter. Now, in religious science, what we like to point out is that the Easter celebration is the celebration of the reincarnation. It is the celebration of, again, this idea that life is a continuity and there is a newness in this idea and this concept of the resurrection, of coming back. And so then we get to 50 days later, where we're now celebrating a point of being in newness, of being in a new life, of having left the old behind. And now we're receiving wisdom. We're receiving the word. We're learning in this time that is also a celebration of harvest, of fertility, of gleaning and pulling forth what we've learned from our past experiences and taking those lessons and putting them into practical application. The Pentecost. Now, the Pentecost has some particular characteristics about it, the particular Pentecost that brings it into the Christian experience. And that is that this was the first Pentecost after the resurrection. And as fate would have it, all 11 of the disciples, the remaining disciples, they didn't include Judas, and that's a talk for another time, but all 11 of the remaining disciples happened to be together. And the Bible quote says, and they were of one accord. And the fact that that is noted makes me think that perhaps that was not always the case. It also makes me think and consider, and I'm inviting you to consider, that there are many ways in which those 12 disciples represent all the variety of ideas and consciousness and things that are going on the planet, where this one has this kind of viewpoint or government structure, if you will, and that one has this other kind of viewpoint or government structure, if you will. But on this particular day, they were of one accord. Now, being of one accord means that they were of one mind and they were in a particular vibe. Now, that vibe could be, for example, we got to get rid of this COVID. We've got to handle this thing that is impacting all of us. But I go off from the story about the disciples just for a moment. So let me come back to that. So we have the 11 disciples. They are of one accord, meaning they are of one mind on this particular day. And the skies open up. There's lightning, there's bright light shining, and people are hearing voices. They are hearing wisdom teachings, and they're hearing it in whatever their own language may be, right? So this is kind of like I like to think of it kind of like a Star Trek moment, right? Because if you're a Trekkie, you know that as people go around to different planets and meet people that speak different languages, there's a language translator that automatically translates whatever is being said so that I understand it in my own language. That's what was going on in the Pentecost. There was an experience of people hearing the wisdom of the divine in their own language. Again, if we come back to today and do a little just lightweight touch parallel on that, we can see that for the last 18 months, this is May that we're in. I think I can accurately say, let me do my math, 12 and 5, 17 months that we've been addressing on a global level from whatever aspect our languaging needed to be, some issues that impact everybody. So they were hearing the message, and the message effectively said to them, it is time for you to go out and do the work that you are here to do. In the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, we are told that the meaning of the day of Pentecost is that in the unfoldment of the spiritual mind, there are periods when the ideas that we have meditated on, when we've had the opportunity to see what's going on in the world and all of the places where there are inequities, all of the places where justice needs to be called forth, all of the place where people may not have clean water, all of the places where the oceans may be being polluted. We've had the opportunity to meditate on all of the things that have been going on. And we get to bring truth. We get to bring what we know, that idea that God is all there is, there's nothing else, regardless of appearances. We get to bring truth to that. That truth gets to spring forth in our consciousness. It gets to become a living reality in our life instead of mere mental concepts. In other words, we get to get up, get out, and go do something about it. We are further advised in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary that if we proceed in an orderly manner, there will be an inrush of spiritual force from the higher realms of consciousness that will fill the whole body, that will bring to consciousness the presence of spirit as substance. Now, I'm taking all of that and inviting you to consider that all of that means love one another and love what's going on. Because again, back to it's time for us to practice what we preach. One of the things, and I am one that is very fond of saying, that God is the good to which there is no opposite. I'm going to say that again. God is the good to which there's no opposite. Even myself, part of myself has to say, are you kidding me? Are you paying attention? Are you seeing what is going on in the world? And my spiritual self that I am inviting to be more and more present every day, because I know that she's the one that's got to do the work, says, no, I'm not kidding. God is the good to which there is no opposite. And my primary tool is love. Because when I look at the thing that I would consider to be the problem, when I look at the thing through the eyes of love, when I see it with my heart, then love tells me what to do. Love leads the way. Love becomes the cutting edge. Love becomes the way and the ways in which we develop both the languaging, and there is some wonderful, wonderful work going on out in the world today. There are some wonderful new books that have been written about leadership and about how to show up. Both of the women who started the Black Lives Matter movement have written books, written and published books about leadership and about movement within the last 12 months. There are books written about how we process our feelings, about how we address trauma. There are conversations going on in this month of May as we celebrate Asian and Pacific Island American History Month. We have the opportunity to celebrate both the cultural value that folks bring to the United States as well as to the planet. And we have the opportunity to stand up and come from our oneness. We have the opportunity to say, not on my watch, not on my watch. But we only get to do that as we come from love. Love has to be our jumping off point. We have to see through the eyes of love. Again, back to Charles Fillmore in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, he tells us that the day of Pentecost signifies a gathering of spiritual powers for the purpose of harvesting the first fruits of spirit. Otherwise, or another way of saying that is this is an opportunity to dedicate these new forces of spirit, this new consciousness, this new awareness that we have now that we've had time to really see and think and work through. He says a dedicating of these new forces of spirit to unselfish service, in the vineyard of the Lord. Spirit always manifests according to our faith and trust. This is our time to build our faith and to act from our trust and from our love, not only generically, but our love in and for each other. I invite you, I invite us. I invite us as the village. I invite us as, the words from another song come to mind, and I am not going to sing for you. I thought Reverend Savannah did a wonderful job of singing last week, but I am not going to sing for you. But I am going to give you these words, and you'll know this song. The words are, I am the place where God shows up, lives and breathes and has its being. I am the place. Say that with me. I am the place where God shows up. And God shows up in my everyday being about. God shows up in my ability to co-create, to consciously evolve this place to a world that works for everyone. And I am deeply and humbly grateful for the opportunity to be alive on the planet at this time. I'm going to close with another quote from Ernest Holmes on oneness. There is one infinite reality. We call it many names, but not limited to God. Life, universal spirit, infinite intelligence, first cause, or the thing itself. The one infinite reality is undivided, it is complete and whole within itself. It creates, this is our remembering who we are and what we believe. It creates everything out of itself because it had nothing else to create out of. This is God's stuff right here. It creates everything out of itself and therefore includes both the absolute and relative, the tangible and intangible, the physical and metaphysical aspects of reality. Ashe, Amen, Ami, Aho, and so it is. Thank you. And so now if you will take another deep breath with me as we conclude as we started with prayer. So take a deep breath, inhale, and release. And as we release the breath, we remember, we know, and we invite ourselves to just be one with the very idea, the very expression and experience that God is all there is. There is nothing else, regardless of appearances or regardless of what I make up. And from that knowledge and that understanding that God is all there is, I get to see the world with new eyes and with different eyes. I get to see the world through the eyes of love. And as I do so, I see that love reflected back to me in so many different ways. I see it reflected back in the Moyo Institute. Their vision is to make the world a better place. Their goal is to create through consciousness, inner wisdom, achieving peace, equality, and diversity, and building a world in which everyone is equal. As I see the world through the eyes of love, I spread that love all around our planet, Mama Earth. I give gratitude for her beauty and resilience. And I am grateful for the way and ways in which we are increasingly being not good, but excellent stewards. I bless and praise our youth and the youth of the world, knowing that they are our cutting edge, they are our greater yet to be, and that they are consistently and constantly guided by the loving mind and heart of spirit. I bless everyone participating in this service today, whether you're participating today on Sunday, May 16th, or whether you're participating at some future time. Know that you are blessed and that you are loved. I say a special word of love and comfort for all of those who are impacted by challenges in any form that those challenges may come, be it in our health, in our finances, in our relationships. Love heals. And so I speak this word of healing for Tina Marie Scott, for Dorothy Baker, for Taylor, for Michael Mendez, for Keisha Johnson, for Alex Polson and Eleanor Vincent, for Stephen and wife Michelle Thompson, for Walter Carlisle and family, for Mercedes and Mateo Smith, and for Gail Floyd. I speak this word for all of those negatively impacted by weather, negatively impacted by COVID-19. recognizing that we believe in the immortality and the continuity of life. I invite each one of us who may have someone who has recently transitioned to bring that person to mind and to speak their name out loud as we say this word, this prayer of peace and comfort for the family and friends of Reverend Jeffrey Anderson and for the entire Oakland Center for Spiritual Living community. As we speak a word of peace and comfort and love for Allison Montgomery, who's the mother for Kai Balo and family, who are the children of Allison Montgomery, and for Deborah Jackson and family as the niece and family of Alberta Samuels, and for the entire Oakland Center for Spiritual Living community for the loss of Daryl Dents, our greeter and usher, knowing that God is, always has been, and always will be the good and the love and the peace and the power to which there is no opposite. I simply say thank you, Father and Mother God, for the perfect healing taking place in the lives and life experience of each and every one of these individuals. I release this word to the immutable and perfect law, knowing that it is done and done well. And so it is. Thank you. And now we come to the part of our service where you get to participate. This is our opportunity for giving, and it is at this part of our service that we invite you, first of all, to, with hands over heart, and I like to invite you to take your offering or to imagine your offering, particularly if you're on auto tithe, and hold it over your heart, not because we're keeping it, but because that heart represents that love space, and this giving represents in some small way our ability to give love. And so say with me, please, joyously I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. As you are looking at the slide that will tell you how you can contribute to Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, I invite you to hear this verse, Malachi 3:10. Malachi 3:10 says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it." When we talk about taking our practices into the world, when we talk about standing on God's promises, this is one of God's promises. Both as we give, we receive, and see if I will not pour you out a blessing that you will not have room enough to receive it. Thank you again, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I now turn our program back over to Carmen West Jefferson, who, in addition to being a practitioner emeritus, is also a physical trainer emeritus, is also a powerful sister in the universe, who is a blessing to this ministry and to everybody that knows her. Carmen West Jefferson. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend D. Jacquelyn. Thank you. Back at you. I love you so much. What a powerful message.
Uh,
Thank you for being here today. Just appreciate every time you come to us. We just love having you and would love to see more of you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to our musicians, Kev Choice. You just, oh my God, you just brought the God within us out into the room. Your opening music was just, it was just beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer Johns, for your beautiful, silky, soulful voice. So appreciate you. Bonnie Gonzalez, practitioner Bonnie Gonzalez, will be hosting the prayer room after service if you're in need of prayer. If you want to get private prayer from the practitioners, you can go to oaklandcsl.org and pick a particular practitioner that you would like to pray with. But don't take a problem home today. We do have practitioners waiting in the breakout rooms to pray with you right after service. So our closing affirmation is, da, 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 I have no big problems. I tell my problems about my big God. All right. Back to the beautiful sounds and the sweet music of Kev Choice.
so I want to just interject one
Check
little
one.
piece, Kev, before, give me one moment. I meant to say this earlier. I want to encourage everyone in the village to participate in these listening circles. Um, this is some powerful, powerful work that is being brought to you by a very, very powerful person. And it's for everybody. It's not just for members, friends, family, visitors, everybody. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend D. Jacqueline. Thank you. Kev, we're ready
Thank
for
you,
you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. 1 second. Thank you for a beautiful service today. And I'm gonna bring back the OCSL virtual choir to assist me with this last song. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, blessed, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, say, take a deep breath. Amen. I say.